What I am about to read from is something that was published back in January, initially at the American Enterprise Institute, and then was thereafter republished at financialtimes.com, ft.com. Now, strangely enough, I was able to access this article on my cell phone, but when I tried to look it up on my laptop, it said I needed to buy a subscription, which I have no intention of doing. So what I did was I screenshotted. I may be essentially a boomer, technologically speaking, but I do have a few tricks up my sleeve. What I did was I screenshotted all aspects of the article from beginning to end. So just to briefly go over this, because I think it's important what is being said here and what they are letting out into the ether. Is this revelation of the method? Is it something else? Who knows? But the title of it is Psyops Are a Crucial Weapon in the War Against Disinformation. Now, American Enterprise Institute, back in the 90s when I first became aware of them, and I was even, I think, subscribed to their journal for a time, I thought of them as a conservative, just a standard conservative publication. This was when they were still in print, when everything was still in print, basically. But there is a huge difference, of course, between conservative and neocon, which the American Enterprise Institute clearly is. So this is arguing in favor of Psyops. And the writer is a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, a think tank. Okay, so go to second page. Sorry, scroll down. Page 2. Okay, page 1 actually. When Sweden's Navy tried to hunt down a suspected enemy submarine in the Stockholm archipelago 8 years ago, its efforts were ridiculed by Russian media and officials who trolled their armed forces chief and accused him of pursuing a phantom vessel. Since then, hostile states, including Russia, China, and Iran, have increased their use of disinformation and online propaganda to amplify anti-Baj sentiment. It's not Baj, you see the word there, but Baj is my code word for it, because you can't be. This is not a free speech zone here on YouTube. So they've used their places like Russia, China, and Iran have increased their use of disinformation to amplify anti-Baj sentiment and foment political tensions in Europe and the U.S. Really? That's been happening? Well, okay. Anyway, reading on. Concerned about the potential for this to undermine democracy, Sweden has just launched an agency for psychological defense. Other countries would do well to follow its example. Okay, so they're even being prescriptive here, saying this is what really needs to happen, not just in Sweden, but all over the Western world. So aggressors are increasingly trying to sow division by targeting areas of public concern, such as crime, COVID, Bajes, the government's response to the slamdemic, and immigration. These are low-intensity campaigns that are constantly in operation. When a specific issue is in the news, the activity increases. So the allegation is that other countries like the hated and feared Russia, and the hated and feared China, and the hated and feared Iran are stirring up the shit, when it comes to controversial subjects, and inviting the disinformation campaigns. They're behind the disinformation campaigns that are out there. So that in turn requires, what they're recommending here. I'll just read a little bit more of this. As many countries have found, the scamdemic has spawned a new breed of disinformation, which has spread as rampantly as the virus. Oh, that's a good metaphor there. This is not only from usual suspects. Those usual suspects, who would they be? I'd tell you who'd be one of them. Hi, I'm a usual suspect. But this is not just from the usual suspects, but now actors who are copying Moscow and Beijing's methods. Private organizations are using a commercial offering known as disinformation as a service to conduct malign influence operations against their competitors. So what they're saying is the results are alarmingly obvious. Disputes about Novid 19 and the Bajzines to fight it are already dividing populations. So this is what they're saying, is that the rise in people who are Baj hesitant is not organic at all. Does not come from any kind of reasoned look at the set of circumstances that we were given and so forth, and taking a look at a look beyond the propaganda put forth by places like CDC and others, that's all being managed by these out-of-state actors, Russia, and China and Iran. I think Iran. You really think Iran doesn't have other things to worry about right now than trying to get the West to argue, people in the West to argue with one another? Seems really kind of a facile argument. But anyway, public trust in the government. Sorry for that. Bit of turbulence there. Public trust in the government is the Achilles heel of Western democracies, seeking to defend themselves against innovative adversaries. Disinformation aimed at weakening public confidence in its military forces or political leadership can have a patent destabilizing effect. So anytime you distrust what the medical establishment tells you, distrust what the government tells you, distrust the military-industrial complex, distrust pharmaceutical organizations with massive amounts of power and control, who cannot be sued for any damages that's done to anyone with the Baj. Anytime you're doing that, what you're really doing is just you're just becoming a clone of Putin and his disinformation agents. Anyway, all this is going on, and so what they say needs to be done. Remember, the title is Psyops are a necessary way of fighting disinformation. So the Swedish Psychological Defense Agency will monitor malign influence by exposing both the aggressors and their methods. Okay. I believe it should go further by launching information counterstrikes against the offending country's ruling elite. In future, NATO and its allies could respond to disinformation campaigns by revealing some of the overseas properties owned by senior officials in the hostile country. All right, so this doesn't sound much like a psyop, though. Like, if what you're saying, if what is being claimed here is that these are disinformation campaigns being run from foreign sources, from foreign disinformation agents to try to spread discord and division in the West, and like this organization is going to expose how how these things are, how this is happening, like who's doing it and how it's being done. And I mean, that's not a psyop. So where's the psyop being discussed? That's in the very title of the article. That's what's peculiar to me. So finally, as with Novid, the most important task in psychological defense is to inoculate the population against believing false information. Inoculate the population against believing information that goes contrary to what we want them to, the load of bull we want them to swallow. I'm just decoding that here. This involves teaching the public how to verify information. Right? And the ways that I've heard people teach the public, quote unquote, teach the public to verify information has usually been, what kind of source is this from? Is it from a trusted source? Is it from, a source that you can trust because, you watch them on TV, or they have, their newspapers are always well stocked at the corner or at the local gas station. In other words, it's just sort of all that I have seen is what's the psychological term for this, where you argue from authority. You just say, well, what are you going to trust? Who are you going to trust? You're going to trust some wacko on the internet, sitting in his car recording videos in his car. That's actually what I had people saying about me once when I did a video about where I expressed thoughts about the burning of the cathedral in Paris, which happened a couple of years ago, and how I thought it might have been intentionally done. I had people saying, "Oh yeah, who are you going to trust? Someone, your trusted newsman on a network somewhere with millions and billions of dollars behind them, or just some nut bar sitting in the front seat of his car recording YouTube videos." And it was just like you're just some guy sitting in your car. Why should we trust you? I mean, that's not an argument, but I mean, and that to me has been my experience with, what this sort of these anti-disinformation so-called campaigns, what they seem to more interested in doing is just to try to discredit the opposition by saying they're just crazy, they're nuts, they're controlled by foreign entities, and the real ones you should trust are the ones who are allied with the establishment. The real sources that you should trust are places like the Washington Post, New York Times, CBS, PBS, CNN. These are the places that there's no slant there at all. They're just getting the facts out. They actually think we're dumb enough to believe that. Anyway, what's strange about this article, just getting back to the title, is it says psyops are a crucial weapon in the war against disinformation. But where are the psyops that are being discussed here? Where are they? What are the psyops? The most psyopish thing that they discussed was exposing leaders of foreign countries who were in charge of supposed disinformation campaigns, and then doxing where they have property in the West. That's not really a psyop, though. That's a psyop is more an effort to get in the mind of your target audience. And there is a real disconnect here between what the title of this piece is, Psyops are a crucial weapon against the war against disinformation. There's a crucial clash between that title and the content of the article, which is mainly saying, the truth is on our side, us being the American media, military, political establishment, particularly when it comes to the Baj and to Slovid-19, the slamdemic. I don't like to use any of those words, any of those words that they teach me to use. I don't like to use any of them. So it seems the way the article is framed, it's more like we're helping to prevent disinformation by getting the truth out there. But psyops are not about getting the truth out to people. Psyops are about getting in people's heads and getting them either through fear or perhaps by appealing to their wish to be more socially prominent than they are, social credit, to go after them in that way, and in an insidious way, in a way that gets beyond their defenses. That's what psyops are. So it's weird what this article both reveals and conceals at the same time. What do y'all think? Let me know. Andy Nowicki, ultrarightnovelist.com.